I am very, very glad I got into the mobile home park space when I did, because it's the only thing left that's still affordable, right? And we don't have any problems filling anything up. We have no problem selling them. Matter of fact, we're chomping at I get a phone call at least twice a week from, cold callers trying to buy my park. So and that's one of the reasons why we're taking chips off the table and selling off a lot of parks right now, because I can. But I would have done a few things differently, right? One, I wouldn't have bought some of the older product I did and did the value add because it's so much work, right? I would have just bought brand new trailers. It's this whole lot less work. You just buy the trailers because by the time I rehab them, try to keep up with all the contractors, it's way more time, and it almost came out to the same amount as buying a brand new trailer. So it's almost better just to get rid of the old ones and drop brand new. Not in every case, but I'm talking like the 80s and 90s models that I had. I would not do that again at scale. I would still do it again. I just wouldn't do as many. I bought 19 parks in the past 8 years. That's a lot of parks and a lot of moving parts. I mean, it was a lot. So, I'm grateful now because I'm seeing the fruits of my labor, but it was a long time to get here to where I've created so much equity, and we're taking a lot of chips off the table and making money. But that, it was an 8-year process. I do see mobile home parks are going to get, they're getting more and more scarce because you can't build them anymore. But I do think going into the future that government officials are going to start loosening up on doing new development mobile home parks, which we're looking into in Georgia and in real rural areas. We just got to make it to where it makes sense, because they're still asking for too much greenage and concrete and all that, and ends up killing the deal. But there's certain parts of the U.S. and the South that we're looking at maybe doing a development brand new. So let's get into just how for you guys that are just getting started. First and foremost, you got to find a deal, right? Let's talk about that. How to find a deal. First and foremost, you want to do direct to seller marketing and agent outreach, right? I got most of my deals for 3 ways: letters, driving for dollars. I picked up a couple parts just driving by and calling the property manager. And actually one of my best parts that we just sold that I used to buy that Destin condo, I bought that park just by going drive in the parking lot. And I thought it was the property manager, maintenance guy, was the owner doing some maintenance on it. And he ended up selling it to me about 6 years ago. So every time you see a park, either pull into it and then see if there's a maintenance guy or there's a phone number and call it and just ask, hey, you're interested in selling this park? Agent outreach for pocket listings. If it's on the market, it's going to be tough to get a really good deal. Agent outreach. And probably some of the best deals I've got was from social media. My wife, yeah. She got me in my bed. The one we just sold and made $1 million on 2 weeks ago is from her social media, just posting, looking for a mobile home park. And a girl she went to high school with, dad had owned one that was 72 years old. And that was a unicorn deal. We bought 24 units for $210,000. Yeah. Held it for 5 years, stabilized it, and sold and made $1 million. But there's a lot of work. So that's your ways. First, you need to do letters. You can Google mobile home parks in your area and just get the address, and you can cold call the property managers. Property managers right here. This is a good one too. Network with all the property managers. Now, before we go any further though, the reason I like mobile home park investing is because it's so diverse. You understand there's different ways of doing mobile home park investing. You got park own. You understand what park own means? That's where you own the trailers and the land. Then you got lot rent, which is tenant owned, where you don't own the trailers, you just own the dirt, and the tenants own their own trailers, and they're paying you rent. And then you have investor owned, where you own the dirt and another investor owns the trailer and leases it out to a tenant and then pays you lot rent. That's the 3 ways. Now, there's actually a 4th way, which is the rent to own model, where you can buy it and then rent to own it to the tenant, to where it's pride of ownership, which that's where you guys need to get at. You don't want to own these you don't want to do the park own model for too long. And we're going to get into why. So that's probably what 4 or 5 different ways you can do mobile home park investing. The cool thing about mobile home parks is that if you get in a bind, you can actually sell off the trailers. You could do rent to own. You know, you can't really do that with apartments. You can't segment off apartments and go and try to rent to own and get away from the maintenance. You can't do that. So I did a ton of park own, um, which I wouldn't do as much this time, or I would just do it a little bit smarter, right? Because these trailers have a life cycle, right? You only want to hold these things. If I had a brand new trailer, if I built a brand new park right now, I would probably hold those trailers for about 7 to 8 years, and I would make sure that I checked on them every single month, right? Did an inspection. That way you get the most life out of them. Then from there, after I own them 7, 8, this is for a brand new park. After I own them for 7, 8 years, I would do one or two things. I would sell them off to investors and let them deal with the tenants and then do a sublease, or I would sell them off to the tenants after that on a rent-own contract, $1,500 to $2,500 down, 10 to 12-year mortgage. You can get 12, 15% interest, and you put all the maintenance on them. 10 to 12% interest. I'm sorry, 12 to 15% interest, $1,500 to $2,500 down, 10 to 12-year mortgages, which is really, it's not a mortgage, it's a rent-to-own contract. You don't want to do a mortgage. You want to do a rent-to-own contract. That way, if they don't pay, they don't stay. You can get them out in 30 days. You do a mortgage, you're like owner financing it to them, then you're going to have to foreclose on them, which is a totally different game. You don't want to do that. It might take 6, 8 months to foreclose on them. Understand? So this is all that you got to put your fingers out. You got to start talking to people, get block deals. Now, I personally wouldn't buy anything under 30 units, or at least maybe 24, so you can get that, get that scale. But if you guys are just starting, if you buy an 8 to 10 unit by yourself just to cut your teeth, nothing wrong with that. Even 5 units is fine, especially just getting started. Now, I do have, let me give you the guy's number. I got a guy that I call. He can pull up every mobile home park in your area. You want that guy's number?
Oh, park list off.
Mobile home park list. That's why I save him in my phone. Tell him you're part of my mastermind, give you a discount.
Yeah, that's what he puts. You don't know his name? That's what these folks said. Mobile home park list off.
Find it in my phone. It's not mobile home park list. It might have been a trailer park list guy. Just type in list. Let me just try list.
Yeah.
I bought a couple badass deals from this guy. Yeah, right here. Mobile home list guy. 330-275-2696. Or if you want to have Reonomy, which ain't cheap. Reonomy is like $400 a month to have. It's a list data pulling for commercial property. I used to have, but I didn't. You have it?
Wouldn't understand it as that was the carrier house.
I think like a couple $100. They give you like the whole state of whatever state you're in for $200 to $400, depending on how large that list is of every mobile home park owner. And then you could go and you can cold call them, send them a letter.
Does that give you like sell it mill or that stick price?
I don't know. I think it's just the name, and I don't know. I haven't pulled the list in so long. It's been a while. Call him and ask him, but I know that he'll get. Just give him act and call and find out, and then start banging the phones, sending out letters, and then but you have to better see mobile home parks everywhere, right? When you start driving around, who has mobile home parks in their state, and you see them all the time. You need to be like that movie, I See Dead People. You got to be like, I see mobile home parks.
See them all the time.
Yeah.
I watch you stuff. That's hard on my mobile.
Yeah.
Mobile, she's like, stop, please.
Yeah, and that's how you got to be, and then you got to just pull over, call them up, and start figuring out if they're motivated, right? And there's a lot of them that will be motivated. I like 30 units or more. Now, when I'm evaluating, so now you got to ask yourself, let's just say you locked up, you got somebody that's interested in selling. Well, how you know if it's a deal, right? That's really this is the metric right here, everybody. I had to figure this out for myself. And I don't know what cap rate this is, but I know it's like stealing it legally, morally, and ethically if you go this way. So you got, class A, B, C, D, F, and multifamily, where you got the same thing in trailer parks. Class A is going to be what? That's brand new, or maybe 5 years old. Yes, the age. The age and the quality of the real estate it sits on, it would be a combination of both. Because I've seen dog shit trailer parks that are brand new trailers in just like bad areas that just got all cracked out and methed out. You know, I'll buy a shit mobile home park in a great area, but I won't buy a great mobile home in a shit area. So you understand that concept? You need to ingrain that in your head. You can replace the trailer, you can't replace the real estate.